Hey, welcome back to JengaPod. So, let's get started with this. Imagine you're standing on a movie set. The lights are blinding, the cameras are rolling, and the crew is waiting for a signal. But there's a problem. The person in the director's chair is missing. Instead, the script is being written by the weather, by the traffic, by a rude email you received this morning, and by opinions of people you don't even like. In this version of the movie, you are an extra. You are the character who things happen to. You are waiting for the director to tell you where to stand and how to feel. Hey, it's JengaPod time, building you up block by block. I am Godwin Silayo, your host, and we are starting a brand new series called The Central Role, Do Not Be a Victim. Today we are looking at the most foundational block in your entire tower, the perspective block. We're going to talk about why your brain is biologically wired to play the victim and how you can reclaim the director's chair to become the protagonist of your own life. Having said so, let's get starting. So we often go through life where it seems as though we are powerless. We can't do anything. And yes, those moments happen to all of us. The moments of despair, the moments of loss, the moments of rejections, you name it. However, one thing about a human being is that he has a will, and that will is God-given, meaning that you still have some control of your own journey through the power of choices you make. Some choices can limit you, while others can expand your horizons. You always have the final say to your life journey. But before we go deeper, hold on for a minute. I have a simple price for you to pay, and that is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us reach and affect more lives through the power of personal awareness. And mind you, all of our episodes are also available on JengaPod, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music. Follow us to stay up to date with our contents. And yes, thank you so much for doing that. Awesome. Let's keep going. So as I said, this is the first episode of this new series called The Central Role, Do Not Be a Victim. And as usual in our first episode, we just want to be more aware. We just open ourselves to know key concepts and things that are crucial so that as we navigate further, we would be able to attack the areas where we need to improve in our lives. So having said so, let's look at part 1. Let's look at the biology of victim. Learned helplessness. So we often think of victimhood like a flaw in personality, but brain science tells us a different story. It's actually a survival mechanism. So there's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. In the 1960s, researchers found that when organisms are repeatedly exposed to negative situations that they cannot control, they eventually stop trying, even when the situation changes and they could escape. They learn that their actions do not predict outcomes. So let me explain this in simple terms. So there's a classic example of learned helplessness and how it relates to victimhood. Imagine a dog in a lab experiment, and this is the original Martin Seligman studies. So the dog is placed in a cage with 2 compartments separated by a low fence. In the first phase, the dog is repeatedly given a mild electric shock on the floor of its side, but no matter what it does, jumping, running, barking, it cannot escape or stop the shock. The shocks are uncontrollable. After several tries of this, the dog learns, nothing I do matters, I am helpless. In the second phase, the setup changes. Now the dog can easily escape by simply jumping over the low fence to the safe side. But the dog that has experienced uncontrollable shocks does not even try. It just lies down, whimpers, and passively endures the shocks, even though the escape is now possible. So this is what is called the learned helplessness. When someone or an animal experiences repeated failure or uncontrollability, they eventually stop trying, even when opportunities for change appear. So how this maps to the concept of victimhood. Now imagine a person stuck in a victim mindset often behaves like a dog in phase 2. They have had really bad experiences. Could be failure, could be abuse, discrimination, setbacks, and many other things that can put this person in jeopardy. So over time, they internalize the belief, bad things always happen to me, and there's nothing I can do about it. So even when opportunities arise, could be a better job offer, help from others, a chance to learn a skill, or leaving a toxic situation, they don't take action. They stay passive, complain, blame external forces, and reinforce their identity as a helpless victim. So instead of problem solving, the focus shifts to the system is rigged. People like me never win. It's not my fault, so why should I try? So let's look at it this way. Think of a person who keeps getting bad breaks in life. After a while, they stop trying to improve their situation. They know a new job exists, therapy is available, or they could leave the bad relationship, or even go to church. But they just sigh and says, what's the point? It will not work for me anyway. So they have learned to be helpless, and that learned helplessness becomes their victim identity. The core idea is that victimhood is often learned helplessness turned into identity. So real suffering may have started it, but staying in that state is what keeps the person trapped. Now let's make this personal. Does this sound familiar to you? I'll never get that promotion because the boss does not like me. I'll feel better when my partner finally changes. I'll trust life when it stops being messy. I'll not find love again. I'll just live paycheck to paycheck. Those things that I mentioned above are victim logic. It is the moment your inner world awaits for the outer world to change first. When we live like this, we're essentially posing all the efforts in trying to make our situations better. We stop reflecting and learning new ways to better ourselves and assume our situations are permanent and there is nothing we can do about it. So this now makes us build a structure that relies on everyone else staying perfectly still just so we do not collapse. And we are exposing ourselves to all the whims of life, acting like a balloon floating on the air without any sort of control. Now, if you have enjoyed so far, please pause for a second and like this episode. It helps more people find JengaPod, and it tells the algorithm that this message matters. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, hit a follow so you never miss an episode. Great, let's keep going. Let's look at something interesting called the brain's evergreen no. Research shows that when we face unconditional refusals or no's without explanation, whether from parents in childhood or from our own internal critics, it shuts down our prefrontal cortex. This is the region of the brain responsible for planning, urgency, and delayed gratification. Instead, the survival mind, the amygdala, takes over. It starts labeling every delay as a danger or a verdict rather than data. When you say I can't, your brain stops looking for a way how. You have essentially removed your own ability to find solutions and have now succumbed to your situation. Now let's look at part 2, the victor's philosophy, the internal locus of control. There's a massive difference between a victor and a victim. Check this out. If the victim asks, why is this happening to me? The victor asks, how is this shaping me? This shift is rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. Epictetus, a philosopher who was born into slavery, taught that our greatest power lies in the internal locus of control. He argued that while we cannot control external events, could be the weather, the economy, or other people's actions and reactions, we have absolute authority over our judgments and choices. Meaning, you can master your own inner world, which then helps you react to your external world in ways that foster your agenda. Now, a quick way to change the victim mindset to a victor mindset is using what we call here at JengaPod as the pause block. So let's examine what the pause block is. So between the moment you feel like the situation is getting out of hand, let's say a project fails, and the moment you react, there's a tiny gap called the pause block. Now, the strength of your mind or resilience block is measured by how wide you can make that gap. Now let's look at some few examples here. You receive a negative feedback. If your mind is based on a victim logic, you start becoming defensive, you get angry, or you start hiding your weaknesses. But if your mind is based on victor's logic, you would use the what, so what, now what system. Now let me explain a little bit of what this system is. When you ask what, you're essentially looking at the description. What happened? What did I notice? What are the facts? Now, focusing on identifying the key topics or incident without immediate judgment. Now, when you ask yourself, so what? That means you are moving from understanding the problem to analyzing the problem. You're doing the analysis. You ask yourself, why does this matter? What are the implications? What are the patterns or feelings? Now, this step analyzes the significance and connects insight to the bigger picture. Now, when you ask yourself, now what? That means you are ready to take action. You ask yourself, what are the next steps? What lessons can be applied? This creates an action plan outlining future steps or strategies to implement learning. Another example could be a significant delay. Now, if your mind is based on a victim's logic, you would treat it like a denial or a verdict. Meanwhile, if your mind is aligned with a victor's logic, you would treat it like a precision training or a time to increase your capacity. Another example would be a public scrutiny, somebody correcting you in public. If your mind is based on a victim's logic, you would retreat and playing small to avoid embarrassment. But if your mind is based on victor's response, you will not give in to fear or embarrassment. Your tolerance level would be high, and you would correct yourself and start acting right despite the sting. Now, from those examples, we notice something about the victor's code is that they are world-class achievers. And world-class achievers do not wait to feel whole or safe before they start doing something. They take action. They own their actions. That means they place the ownership block first. They realize that life is not responding to what they want. It's responding to who they are being. And that it is action that control their outcomes, not their thoughts that linger for too long without significant actions. Now, if you have enjoyed this so far again, I would like to remind you to pause this episode and like it. It helps more people as usual to find JengaPod, and it tells the algorithm that this message matters. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or even Amazon Music, hit a follow so you never miss an episode. Awesome, let's keep going. And let's look at part 3, reclaiming the protagonist, the ownership shift. I want to share a personal story. I remember a season where I wanted to start a podcast. It was last year. I was too scared of what people would think, or when is the right time to start, and who should give me the final green light. I was basically waiting for a proof that I was safe before I would hit the record button and share my work with the world. But one day I realized something jarring. I was renting my identity. I was looking for validation from the audience to tell me I was an architect. But then I remembered that it is now or never. I either jump or forever stay with my contents in my head. So I took a step to hit that record button and then share. And guess what? The outcome was not as bad as my imagination made it seem. I was imagining failure, embarrassment, people saying, "Oh, why are you doing this?" And all those kind of nonsense that your brain would want you to imagine before doing something meaningful. Remembering that I'm the one to give myself the permission gave me the power to immerse myself into what I wanted to do. So acknowledging that you are the director and every set you play is a step towards making your character better is what you need to do to reclaim your protagonist. Do as many plays, many mistakes, and see if that will not make you reach far. Now moving to the center. So becoming the protagonist means moving from passive external focus to active internal focus. What do you do now in doing this? Number 1, you audit your levels. Your survival mind is always writing a story. Is it writing a tragedy where you are the victim, or a training montage where you are the hero? Choose a better meaning for your setbacks. Number 2, the 70-30 rule for learning. To build the depth required for central role, dedicate 70% of your energy to your core expertise, your central block, and 30% to diverse perspectives. This prevents tunnel vision and helps you see yourself from a new angle. Number 3, process, don't suppress. When the unexpected happens, don't just shove the feeling down. Inspect the situation. What facts can you gather? What is the next right action to do? Now, if you've enjoyed this far, let's just close this episode. I'd like to close with this. Building the central role is the ultimate source of self-respect. It is making sure that your inner structure is stronger than the winds blowing outside. You are not behind, you are being positioned. You are not broken, you're being built. Now, as usual, we usually close with a JengaPod challenge as well. So this week, I want you to identify one area where you are using victim logic. Somewhere you are waiting for a person or a situation to change before you take action. So your challenge is this: use the 3-2-1 rule. Next time you feel that victim reaction, take 3 seconds of silence, 2 deep breaths, and 1 conscious choice to take ownership of your response. Now, if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to tag us at JengaPodium and tell me what is one block you're taking back control of today. And now, this is JengaPod, and I'm your host, Godwin Silayo. Let's keep stacking, let's keep building, let's keep on rising. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in episode 2. Thank you.